You're listening to the Fed and Fearless podcast. On today's episode, I'm chatting with Michael Balchan about how to take your goals and your habits from theory to practice so you can become the best and most heroic version of yourself. So stay tuned. Welcome to the Fed and Fearless podcast. I'm your host, Laura Schoenfeld, a registered dietitian, nutrition business coach, and online entrepreneur with over 10 years of experience in online business. And I'm here to show you everything I've learned about creating a life and a business that nourishes you. On this podcast, we'll talk about the lifestyle habits, practical strategies, mindset shifts, and leaps of faith required to build a healthy body, a powerful mind, a strong spirit, and a successful business. Hey there, welcome back to the Fed and Fearless podcast. I'm your host, Laura Schoenfeld, and we have an awesome episode for you today. It is so chock full of value that I want to get straight into it because we have a lot to cover and a really great guest for you today. So my guest is Michael Balchan. Michael is the co-creator and a founding partner of Heroic, a social training platform built to change the world by helping you become the best and most heroic version of yourself. A Harvard graduate who studied psychology and economics, Michael spent 10 years in finance and then launched a private coaching practice working with corporate executives, elite athletes, and startup leadership teams. As president of Heroic's sister company and personal development platform Optimize Coach, he helped launch and lead the program, which now serves more than 5,500 people from over 95 countries. Michael regularly teaches personal growth, positive psychology, peak performance, habit creation, wellness, relationships, and leadership. Michael's been interviewed about these topics on The Quarter Life Comeback, Good Day DC, and more. He's a top 10% Ironman finisher and lives in Chicago with his wife and his 2 young daughters. And Michael and I actually met because we were part of a very small self-created mastermind. I think it was back in 2014 or so when we started this group, and a mutual friend actually was the one that organized it for us. And we were meeting on a regular basis to talk about our businesses. And so it was just really cool to be able to reconnect with Michael for this episode and to just see what he's been able to accomplish in the work that he's doing in the past 8 years since we first met. So I know you're going to get a ton of value. It's really just this chock full episode of all of these nuggets of goodness that I know that you're going to get at least 1 or 2 things to apply to your current circumstances so that you can start to perform better in life, in business, and whatever your goals are. And I know you're going to love what we talk about today. So I'm super excited to have Michael on the show with us. Without further ado, here is Michael Balchan. All right, everybody. Well, I am so excited to have with us on the show today, Michael Balchan. Welcome to the Fed and Fearless podcast, Michael.
I am so excited to be here. Genuinely enthusiastic. It's been a while since we connected last. It's just so fun to see how paths cross and where they come back. And I'm really looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah. And as the listeners would know from the intro, Michael and I were in, did we call it a mastermind? Was that what we were calling it back then?
I think it was labeled a mastermind. There was 3 of us, so it was tight, but it was that kind of combination of accountability and sharing insights and ideas as we were just getting into the business building space, into the coaching space. And it was really a fun thing to be doing early on, to have a community around us in kind of a similar spot.
Yeah. And it was Sam, gosh, what was her last name?
Yeah, Sam Attard. She's married now. She has a different last name and has, I think, a beautiful baby that's maybe a couple of years old. Aww. I've got some kids too. Got a 3.5 and a 1-year-old, 2 girls. They're amazing. But yeah, Sam, she reached out to me, and I think she also reached out to you and was like, hey, I'm interested in doing this. And I feel so grateful to her. She took that initiative. I think it was, I don't know if she, found blogs or social media profiles, whatever it was, and made the decision. I think this would be valuable for me to have a community of people that I can talk to that feel like they're in a similar space, and setting that up. So thank you, Sam. If you hear this, appreciate you a ton.
Yeah, shout out to Sam. I'll make sure we get this podcast episode to her to be like, look what you started. So, and that was I think it was my first experience being in any sort of mastermind type of group for business. I want to say it was when I had just started my business, like 2014, 2015 was when that would have been happening. So I just think it's really cool that like just seeing where you're at in your business, which is amazing. You were telling me about some of the stuff that you guys are doing and then just how my business has changed. And it's just so cool to see what people do when they're committed, right? Like our lives are so different than they were 5 years ago. Plus, what is that? Actually, if it was 2014, it would have been like 8 years ago, 7 years ago. So it is something where, a lot of my listeners are kind of new into business if they are business owners. And I think sometimes, when you're first starting, you kind of like don't realize you're in this for a while. This isn't just like the next year or two. This is like the next decade or two of your life, that this is a journey that you're on, possibly longer. So it's just really cool to have that like blast from the past and be like, wow, remember we were little business babies that were just doing a free mastermind together. So it was really cool.
You use that word commitment, which is really important, right? And it's not that you have to be in it for 5 or 10 years or however long. You always have the choice to go in a different direction. Maybe you start the business, you want to pivot. This actually isn't I thought I would like being an entrepreneur, but actually I don't. I like having the safety. I like contributing to a broader organization. And you start it and you learn that and you make those trade-offs and those decisions. But to see the long scope, to see the long arc, and to recognize if I want to be successful at this, it is not going to take a month. It is not going to take a year. It's going to take 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 years, a long time. And to just be conscious of that and to see like, oh, wow, back 8 years ago, whenever that started, to know that it's been such a long journey, to know that it takes a lot of work day in and day out, go, 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 go. And it's that commitment over the long period of time that actually create these things that we're so excited about.
Mm-hmm. And I know before we hit record, you and I were talking about all the plethora of things that you help people with. And I think something that kind of stuck with me as far as what you were sharing is just this idea of, it's almost like self-leadership. I don't know if that's the phrase that you would use necessarily, but whether you're running a business and trying to lead a business or you're, just running your life and want to lead a better life, I do think that there's a lot of personal development work that can help you do all of that better. And I know that it sounds like that's what you guys are doing in your company is, really helping people just be able to do the things they want to do more effectively and master some of those bad human habits that we all have. Is that right?
We are all human, absolutely. And self-leadership's a great word. There's a great book, Lead Yourself First. Lead Yourself First, the power of, I think, leadership through solitude or something like that. But that idea of it all starts with ourselves. We've got big ambitions, 51% of the world flourishing by 2051. That's a crazy audacious goal. Longer backstory, we borrowed it from positive psychology, but that's our mission, 51% of the world flourishing by 2051. And the way we kind of distill it is, let's change the world one person at a time together, starting with you and us today. So it truly starts one person at a time. And that most important person is that person in the mirror. You have to lead yourself first. You have to recognize what's your emotional state, what's your physiological state, how are you showing up? You're a business owner. Your number one greatest asset is your consciousness. And if you are not investing in that, if you are not honing that, your business is not going to be as successful as it possibly can. Relationships, we have this tendency to, they need to change. And why are you doing this? And why don't you change this? And I love the idea of attending your own lectures. So anytime you're pointing your finger out, there are 3 fingers pointing back at you. So if you're giving a lecture, like, look where it's actually going. That the shadow work that I know is a big part of emotional regulation, emotional work. But recognizing we got to start with ourselves. We got to see, where's my mindset? Where's my energy? How can I show up more powerfully? How can I be a creator? Own the decisions that I'm making. Own how I'm responding to things in my life. Not reactively, this thing happens and boom, I just out of context go. But can we pause? Can we take a breath? Can we step into that gap between stimulus and response, Viktor Frankl style? In between stimulus and response, there is a gap. In that gap exists our freedom. Can we step into that gap, choose a more empowered response, lead ourselves first, and then kind of extend these ripples outwards from us? If you have a hard time in the relationship with yourself, you're going to have a hard time in the relationship with significant other or kids or colleagues or bosses, whatever it is. Start with self, extend it outward, And your business will allow you to extend those ripples even further. But the ripples that your business extends out are going to be a reflection of how you are showing up, how your team is showing up, what's the culture that you've created. We've got to start with ourselves. And if we do that, if we all take that personal responsibility, I think that the ripples that we will collectively spread out are just crazy, crazy powerful.
Mm-hmm. And I would love if you could share, I don't know if it's probably a long story, but a nutshell story of how did you even get into this work? Because I always love hearing people's stories, like why did you end up doing what you're doing and what led you here over the course of your life so far?
Yeah. So going for the condensed version, I graduated from school with economics and psychology, and I went into derivatives trading. So I traded gold and oil commodity options. In finance, I had like a headset, talked to a guy on Wall Street, very, very high, fast-paced, high testosterone, just lots of stress environment, but also lots of upside on the financial side of things. I like the lifestyle side of things. And I very early on recognized that that's not something I wanted to do forever. I want to do it really, really well for as long as I could, but it wasn't that deep kind of soul aching, like, yes, this is what I'm born to do. And also most people in that space, not to say everyone, there are people that certainly were flourishing and had great family life and had great, control of their physiology and energy, et cetera. But a lot of the people in the space had lifestyle choices and habits that I didn't want to grow old with. So I started to get really intentional. Okay, how do I show up powerfully in this space and also take care of myself? I'll do some of those personal development things, got into meditation, deliberate movement practice, watching what I was eating, journaling, practicing gratitude, all these things that we know are good for us, but I wasn't doing previously, and thought this is really important if I want to sustain my ability to perform here. Came across a guy named Brian Johnson. I thought one of the things I want to do with my life is study all of the wisdom traditions. I want to study like ancient wisdom, Stoicism, what did the Greeks have to say, philosophy, down to Confucianism or Christianity or Buddhism or Taoism, Hinduism, Islam. Like, what do these traditions all have to say? And why are we all fighting? Like, I feel like we have way more in common than we have different. Let me study all these things and see if I can figure out what's the common threads and can we learn how to get along as a collective? So I set that kind of intention, and pretty soon after found Brian and his work. I thought it was going to take me a lifetime to learn all those things. Brian had already spent 20 to 25 years reading those books and distilling them into 6-page PDFs. So I thought, this is amazing. I can learn all this stuff, and it's only going to take me a couple years instead of my entire lifetime. So called them Philosopher's Notes. Again, the 6-page PDF, 20-minute MP3s, all the best personal development books. I signed up for the membership. I was reading these notes. I was learning things, and intentionally practicing it in my own life. One of the things we talk a lot about is moving from theory to practice. It's enough to know something. This is a good idea, but we actually have to do it in our life. And I was excited to do that. Brian, in some ways, was my first coach. And by studying the work that he put out and then living it in my life, I started to experience gains. My life started to change. And when I learned that coaching was a thing, I thought, I don't need a coach. I'm already growing really fast. Like my pace of growth is going to far exceed any other coaches that they might help me with. Because I had Brian sharing this information with me. So fast forward, use that to succeed as a trader, build a beautiful family, all of these things. And eventually that ache to do something else, that soul yearning to, let me figure out what else I could do, turned into a coaching practice. And that evolved because people were seeing me the way that I was showing up. They're like, what are you doing? Like, can we talk about some of this? And I'm sure as many people who are new to the space know, you get asked questions like that. Hey, I'd love your opinion on this. Hey, can we just hang out for a bit? I'd love to do this. Can you help me with that? And I learned how to turn that into a business. And so went from finance into coaching, was really clear on the kind of person I wanted to work with, the high caliber business owner, Fortune 100, 500 executive. This excitement to have an impact on a broader community by impacting the individuals who were leading those communities. And after 2 to 3 years of the one-on-one work, and I did some small groups. Brian Johnson at Optimize hosted a live event called Hero Training 101. And I bought a ticket and I went out there. And at that point, I'd consumed every single piece of content that he put out. I just loved it. And at that conference, I said, I want to work for you guys. I want to help spread your mission and message in the world. I had my own business, so I didn't need payment. I was like, I'll do it for free. I literally just want your work out in the world because I think it's life-changing. And then got connected with him, started supporting the organization at Optimize. A couple of years later, we decided to launch a coach training program. And he knew kind of the level of student that I was of his work and how I'd showed up. And so he invited me to help to create and lead our coach certification program. That was 2019 that we launched our first class, over 1,000 coaches from 95 countries. I think in that very first class, we've since had 10,000 coaches from 115 countries around the world. It's been scientifically proven. So Sonia Lyubomirsky, an author that we profile, dear friend of Brian's, when we launched the first class, he reached out to her and said, hey, I want to know if this works or not. Can you help us run a scientific study? She runs one of the world's leading wellness labs, and they literally collected data and scientifically demonstrated that our protocol worked. Sonia said something like, if I weren't the one who had done the research, I would have thought the data was fake. The program changed lives. And it's not because it's our stuff or Brian's stuff. It's the stuff that all the great teachers across all the traditions have told us, this is important for you to master. And then fast forward to last year, we were excited to take the things that we learned in coach and extend them to even broader community. We had a fun origin story that Brian shares in a video, lots of different videos actually. But the short of it is we wanted to build a social training platform that could help change the world. So how do we answer the historically significant challenges that we're facing with political polarization and the social dilemma? If you haven't watched that documentary, highly recommend checking it out. Environmental degradation, cancer, diabetes, all of these chronic diseases that are on the rise. The world that we are living in, I think, is less than the world that we collectively are capable of living in. And we decided to step up a little bit more fully than we had before. We raised $5 million through the crowd. So we were the first company to raise $5 million via new regulations, or Reg CF. The limit went from 1 to 5. The day that it changed, we closed the round. And there's like a 21 or 23 day period to like actually close. But literally first company to do that. It was part of $11 million seed round. Then we went and hired the world's best product design firm. So they built Slack, they built Tinder, they built Uber Eats. They built most of the apps that we have on our phone and love. And we got them to help us build this training platform, to help us all move from theory to practice to mastery, that is just launched. And that is the super short version of how I'm now doing what I'm doing. Started as a student. I continue to be a student. I always see my first role as, can I show up more powerfully in my own life? Can I keep working on myself? Can I humbly serve and as in any way that I can? And it started out in one-on-one coach. I just shared this last week. None of my clients in the first year of my coaching practice paid me the same amount or had the same conversation structure. Everyone was different. One of my first paying clients was my brother. He was probably like number 4 or 5, but he was in that initial set. And I was like, dude, there's zero chance that you're paying me. You're my brother. Like, I care about you. I want to help you. And he said, no, Michael, I don't think you understand. He's like, I'm not paying you for you. I'm paying you because I think it will help me. I thought, oh, that's amazing. But served in a one-on-one capacity, in a group capacity, then was able to support Brian and serve the Optimize community, now the Heroic community through the coach program, and bring it into even a broader realm with Heroic, the training platform. So we've got 300,000 or something people in the community so far. We're growing
just 300,000?
Yeah, I mean, I think people are hungry. People are hungry for change. One of the things that we say from a crowdfunding, right? That for us, that was a signal that the world is hungry for heroes. The word hero is actually interesting. When most people think of the word hero, they think killer of bad guys,
Marvel Avengers movies.
Yeah, or like this, it's very masculine. Hero is actually an ancient Greek word, and it means protector. A hero has strength for 2. The thing that drives a hero, their secret weapon, is love. So when you are willing to express the best version of yourself and then bring that forward in service of somebody else, whether that's a client or a group of clients or an organization or a broader kind of big picture mission, you are being heroic. And we saw that crowdfund as a sign that collectively we are hungry to make a change. We are tired of living in a world that is, we would say, vicious, or you could say suboptimal. There's more hatred. There's people behaving in certain ways behind screens that you would never behave face to face or person to person, behaving to other human beings as if they're not human beings. And I think we're all kind of in this experience, like enough is enough. Like I want to do something to change that. So part of the reason that our community is growing the way that it is I think a reflection of people's excitement and enthusiasm to make a change, to be the change, and collectively change the world.
I love that. And something you brought up before that I think could be really helpful for our audience, because, I feel like when you start to get into this world, it can just like expand so big, and which is exciting, but also can be a little overwhelming for people sometimes. You were talking about this concept of moving from theory or knowledge to practice. And I do think, having worked in the health space for so long and now working in the business coaching space, you run into the same challenges, right? Like people know what they're supposed to do, right? But they don't do it. And a lot of times they beat themselves up about the fact that they're not doing it. So in your opinion, or, from your guys' perspective in the programs that you run, what are some of the things that get in the way of somebody going from the knowledge? So, we're assuming they already know about some stuff. It's not like they're just totally oblivious to this concept. And I know my audience, the fact that they listen to this show means that they at least are aware of these ideas. What gets in the way of somebody knowing what to do with whether it's their daily habits or their big picture goals that then prevents them from necessarily taking action the way that they could, or I don't say should, because I don't even like that word, but the way that they know that if they wanted the result that it would take?
Lots of different directions we can go here. And I think I'll frame it first in simplicity. So most of us have so many different things that we want to do. And we encourage people to simplify that into energy, work, and love. We call it the big three: energy, work, and love. Freud said work and love are the essentials of a good human life. We like to say, well, if you're not energized, if you have a hard time getting out of bed in the morning, you're not going to be able to show up powerfully to your work and to your love. They're just starting by not trying to do a million things. Focus on energy, focus on work, focus on love, and then focus on the top 1 to 3 things in each of those that help you have a great day. Most of us know, when I do this thing, I'm on. When I go to sleep at this time, and when I get my movement in, and when I get my meditation, I have a better day. Awesome. Do those things, have better. When you make that call, that's the most important call for you to make. Or you prep for that client, that's the most important client that you're going to see. Or you write that report or whatever it is. You hit your number one most important action work-wise first thing in the day. You accrete some really powerful gains over a long period of time. When you are present with the people that you care about most, phone is actually away, right? Out of sight, out of touch. You're fully present. You're spending time in the morning or lunchtime or going on a date or whatever it is for you. Simplify that. What are the top things to do in love to help you have a great day love-wise? So going from the wide world of possibility into energy, work, and love is a really important thing. The other thing is behavior design. So most of us, when we don't do our habits, we think it's because something's wrong with us, when actually we're not designing our environment to get ourselves to do the things that we know we should be do. Top tips: start small, right? Make it impossible to fail. It's literally, they say like brush one or floss one tooth or do one push-up. Right? Don't worry about spending 30 minutes at the gym. Start with 1 minute. And people hear that and think, that's crazy. Like, no way. But you do that every single day. And guess what? If you floss 2 teeth, you still win. Or you floss your whole mouth, you still win. You can floss 1 tooth and you still win. And getting that win early is really important. And work-wise, it's like, oh, I need to have 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, 1,000 clients for my business to thrive. Yes, and get the first one. Make the first call. Get that first person. Serve the next person. Serve the person that you're facing. Start really, really small and build that behavior so that it grows over time. And then we have this story that if it's hard, it means we're not doing something right. Like if we're not feeling good, if we're feeling uncomfortable, then we're doing it wrong. We need to flip that on its head. Discomfort, facing challenges, not getting things right is a sign that we are on the right path. It's a sign that we're stretching ourselves. It's a sign that we're growing. Growth happens outside of your current capacity. That's literally how growth happens. By definition, that's going to be uncomfortable. Outside your current capacity is outside your comfort zone, is uncomfortable. So that sign of that felt experience of being uncomfortable is a sign that you are growing. And I think we have this story like, I'm going to get there someday, that I shouldn't feel a sense of discomfort. And we allow that to derail us, to knock us off track. Like, I don't want to meditate today, or I don't want to exercise today, or I don't want to make that tough phone call to this client. I'm feeling nervous. I shouldn't feel nervous. No, that's exactly how you should feel. Take the action anyway, which brings me to, I think, one of the most important parts of this theory to practice, if not the entire most important part of it. And that's, we are wired to do things that feel good. The reason you are not going to the gym or doing the meditation or putting your phone away is because there's something that you think is going to make you feel better by not doing it, right? Oh, I'd have to walk to the gym. I have to change my clothes. And I like, not doing that. That makes me feel better. And we conflate the long-term feeling that will get, or even the short-term 30 minutes later feeling, with that feeling in the moment. So we want to train ourselves to feel good doing the things that we know are good for us. And it's not this hedonistic, like pleasure is bad, but use pleasure wisely. So in the social training platform, and the reason we work with the best product design firm in the world is we want to make it feel good to do the things that you know are good for you. We want you to get a dopamine hit. Like we've got a bunch of targets to hit, go into it long details, but the short story is every time you do something that is in alignment with you being at your best, we want you to celebrate that. We want your brain to get addicted to doing the things that make you feel good long-term. One of them is respond to a bid. John Gottman's one of the leading relationship experts. He can predict with something like 95% accuracy whether a relationship will end in divorce or not after 15 minutes in the lab. And the number one thing he's looking for is the partner responding to one another's bid? When I make a bid for your attention, are you ignoring me? Are you in your phone? Do you say, I don't know? Or are you responding to it, turning towards me? If we want good relationships, we would be wise to respond to one another's bids. So there is a target or a habit in the app, respond to a bid. My daughters, they will run in here. I'll be doing a call or working deeply, and she escapes from the nanny and just runs in here. And I used to kind of get annoyed, like, I'm working, come on. And now I think, I'm going to respond to her. I'll pick her up. I'll give her a hug. I'll give her a kiss. I go back to the app. Boom, I hit my target. I responded to it. I did that thing that I said that I wanted to do, and I feel great about it. I'm literally looking for opportunities to do the things that I said I wanted to do. Row 1,000 meters a day. I had 5 minutes between calls earlier. I can do the 1,000 meters in about 3 minutes and 30 seconds. I was like, I don't really want to do this, but I'm really excited to hit that target and give myself that, I'm crushing it. And so we want to make it really easy for people to take the things that they know they could be doing. They know that when they do them leads to a higher quality of life, and make them love actually doing those things, to celebrate that micro win all day, every day. So the entire practice side of the platform that we built comes down to, in the morning, commit. Who do you want to be in energy, work, and love? How do you want to show up? What are the virtues that you want to embody? Present, connected, joyful, kind, curious, encouraging, grateful, decisive, powerful, productive, whatever those virtues are for you. And then what are you actually going to do today to live in alignment with that? Every single listener knows, regardless of what time of day it is, if it's first thing in the morning, if it's like an hour before bedtime, whatever it is, you know what you could do between now and the end of the day that would help you have a great day or close the day in a great way. You can pick 3 things: one energy thing, one work thing, one love thing. Work could be spend time journaling. What's that problem that you've been mulling over for a long time that's like bouncing around here? Just spend some time thinking about it. Send a text message to someone that you care about. Do a little meditation, or give yourself a bubble bath. Or we all know these things that would help us live the kind of lives that we want to live. So we invite you to actually commit to that in the morning. pre-committing scientifically proven to help you do things. Odysseus contracts, much longer story that I won't get into, but the science of pre-commitment is crazy. We want to commit to the actions. It makes us more likely to actually follow through on them. So we invite you in the morning, commit to what you want to do today and keep it simple, right? One thing, three things, and energy and work and in love. And then throughout the day, when you actually do those things, celebrate. And I'm talking about this in the context of the platform because it's really fresh for me. Like we've been designing this for a long time. I've just started to get to play for it, and it's literally changing my life. You don't need the platform to do this though, right? In your morning, commit. How do you want to show up today? What's the most important thing for you to do today? And then when you do that thing, celebrate like crazy. I always use the metaphor of a World Cup. Like imagine World Cups, like that attracts a wide range of people. I don't know. What's your favorite sport, Laura? Do you have a favorite?
Well, definitely not soccer.
Like the Olympics just happened. So you picture someone who literally just won the world championship.
Super right? Bowl.
Yeah, Super Bowl. There's 3 seconds left on the clock. You just threw a long pass, right? And won the Super Bowl on a last second play or kicked the last. Like, how would you celebrate? Just, you can feel just talking about it, I'm getting like goosebumps. Like, I can feel that celebration. We want to create that same emotional response, that same joyful response after we do the things that we say are important to us. And what that does is our brain's like, oh, that felt good. I really liked that. Like, give me more of that. And so we'll look for more opportunities to do that thing and then celebrate again. So whether or not you use our platform for this, commit to who you want to be, commit to how you want to show up, commit to what actually you're going to do. And then when you do those things, celebrate. BJ Fogg's a world-leading behavioral design researcher and teacher out of Stanford. Most of the apps that we have in our pocket, the people built them, they were students of BJ's, and they like studied under him at Stanford. He's got a great book, Tiny Habits.
Either definitely heard of that or read it. I can't remember if I've read that one.
Yeah, so all the habits, the best habits books, by the way, have tiny, atomic, micro, itty bitty, like habits, because we got to start small. But celebration's huge for him. And he says that celebration might be his biggest contribution. And at some point, celebration will be seen as more powerful than gratitude. I know gratitude has been a popular, impactful thing. I had the 5-minute journal. It was one of the first journals I had. We have a daily gratitude practice. We sell gratitude at Meetup. Like, we all know gratitude is good. You can't be both grateful and angry. Celebration is just as powerful. And celebration is the key. And I'll send some gratitude. I don't know if you can hear the sirens, but for me, it is a practice. We live in a high rise here in Chicago. We hear sirens when they go by. And it's a practice to appreciate the people, the systems that we have that can support us in times of crisis, appreciate my own life. Don't ask for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. Someone out there needs support in a critical capacity. I'm glad it's not me. At some point, it will be me. So thank you for life. Speaking of gratitude, perfectly timed. Thank you to the people in the services, police force, firefighters, medics, etc. Appreciate the contributions that you make to our society. In any case, celebration, as important, as powerful as gratitude, and the key to helping us move from theory to practice. I know what I could be doing. Let me actually do it. And then when I do it, let me make it feel so good that I want to do it again.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's like so much to unpack there. I'm trying to think of like, which direction do I want to go in? Because I feel like there's so many opportunities. I mean, it's really funny because it parallels so much of what I teach my students in the MBA program in just a different way. Like the idea of being really focused on very few things, like that essentialism concept, as opposed to trying to do everything and do too many things. Because the more focused we are, the more effective we can be at that thing. And then that idea of celebrating the habit and not necessarily the result, I think is so important, because like we'll even ask our students to share wins. And I think a lot of times people will refrain because they're like, well, I didn't do anything like celebratory or celebration worthy this week. But even just doing something that you committed to is celebration worthy, as you're saying. And I feel like so many people want to wait until they get a really astounding result, and that's when they get to celebrate, right? And so I feel like if they're waiting to have those amazing results to celebrate, it's either going to cause the work that they do to feel really hard and unfulfilling, or they might give up on it because it's like, yeah, if you don't like doing something or it's hard and it's frustrating and you're new to it and it's, you're like, I'm not good at this. And I always just, social media comes to mind when I have clients that are trying to build some social media presence for their business. And they're like, I wrote this post and I got like 1 like on it. And, they want that gratification of, I got, the likes, I got the interaction on that post. And that's what they want to have that like, yeah, celebrate that post that did so well, as opposed to just celebrating the fact that they even wrote the post in the first place and that they did the thing that they had committed to. So I feel like that's so powerful because, again, I think especially as beginners, we were mentioning like our journey, when we first met was like quite at the beginner's level. You don't get a ton of like positive reinforcement from the get-go unless you just happen to like get really lucky. Most people have to be working at stuff for a while before you actually see something that is a, substantial result that, in our world of like everything's got to be the best. I feel like people don't celebrate until they reach those outcomes. And if you don't have that celebration of the things earlier, it's going to be really hard for them to either stick to it or feel good about the work that they're doing because they're not getting that like external validation. So I love that you brought that up because it's like, I think that's one thing that possibly you and I probably do well is we don't wait until the result happens to like be proud of what we're doing and be like happy with the actions that we're taking.
Yeah, I won't say no, very few successful people do. And going back to the very beginning, we look at successful entrepreneurs or successful athletes or successful performers or the image that's going up on social media. And we think that was easy. That was the end result of a long period of time. John Wooden is the greatest coach. ESPN says the greatest coach of the 20th century, arguably makes him the greatest coach of all time. Coached UCLA men's basketball team, won something like 10 championships in 11 years or 9 championships in 11 years, something like that. Longest winning record in NCAA still stands. Like literally his teams were basically unbeatable. It took him 11 years before he won his first championship. It took him a long time of figuring it out. How do I do this? How do I do this? And he told his coaches or what he told his players, process. First thing he taught, literally best recruits in the country, best ballers, right? They're showing up to the gym. First thing he taught, how to put on your socks. Can you imagine being the best player in the country? I thought you were going to say like dribble. How to dribble. Put on your socks, because if you don't put on your sock right, you might get a blister. If you get a blister, you can't practice. If you're not practicing, you're not going to be able to play well in the game. Don't read some of Wooden's stuff. It is all self-focused. It is all processed. I don't care about the outcome. I care about whether or not we did our best. Literally. And he said the best team he ever coached was not the team that had the most winning record. His best season, I think it was his first or second season, and they were like 1 game north of 500. But he said that team should have only won 2 games. They outperformed where they should have been. That was the process that he measured. That was the standard he measured them by. And that was the most successful. We have to measure ourselves by our process, by the degree that we show up to doing the things that we say we're going to do instead of the outcome. Scott Adams has this great line of goals are for losers. Of course, we need goals. Like human beings are teleological. We are driven by having targets or having goals. But if you have a goal, like especially something compete in the Olympics, right? Or like get to $1 million business or whatever that goal is for you, it's not next week, it's a couple years, whatever. You are losing every single day that you have not hit that goal until finally you hit it. And then you celebrate for a day. And then what do? You set a new goal.
Yeah. If you even celebrate for a day, I feel like there's been so many times where I've hit a goal like, all right, what's next? Like what's I don't next? Even. Yeah.
What's next? And so that's what I mean. Goals are for losers. You are losing every single time you're measuring yourself against that outcome of, did I succeed? Did I succeed? But if you focus on the process, if you measure yourself against the process, did I make that call that I needed to do? Did I go to the gym when I said I was going to do? Did I put that post out on social media because I said I was going to do a certain number of posts over a certain number of days? You measure yourself on that process, then you win every single time you do the thing that you said you're going to do. That's why we focus on the process. That's why focusing on the process is so important. And there's again, going back to the kind of early days of a business building, there's a very popular and famous game in the coaching space called the no game. And it goes something like this. if you are trying to get clients, the most important thing to do to get a client is to actually invite someone into a relationship, to propose new business. Yes, live in the land of no. You can't expect that everyone that you talk to is going to say yes, 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 yes. So it becomes somewhat of a numbers game. You have to be willing to have enough conversations to make enough invitations that some people say yes. And it's not that people saying no means your services aren't valuable or you're stupid or whatever it is. It just means it's not a fit for them at the time. So this game, I think I learned from Rich Litvin and Steve Chandler on The Prosperous Coach, and some of my early coaches. Draw 100 circles on a piece of paper. And every time someone tells you no, fill in the circle. And the goal is to get 100 no's. And that's the no game. And can you literally go and you collect of course, you're not intentionally aiming for the no, but what you're aiming for is that process of having the conversation. You get a win if someone says, yep, that sounds good. You get a win if someone says no, because you did the thing that you said that you were going to do. And that process of having the conversation, getting uncomfortable, etc. Teresa Amabile, so she HBS researcher, she wrote a very popular article and a book, The Progress Principle. And her whole thing was, we have incentives so wrong. Most organizations think that people are incentivized by like big performance bonuses at the end of the year or the big title thing. And she said, no. And the research demonstrates what people are actually motivated by is making progress on something that's meaningful for them. Progress, that little step forward on something that matters to you. Did you write that report? Did you make that phone call? Did you have that client conversation? Did one of your clients say, oh my gosh, that thing we talked about last week, my life has changed? Or someone that just took your program writes you a gratitude note. Thank you so much. I just finished your program. My life is changing. Celebrate that. That is so valuable. And we're like, oh, cool, thanks. Like, where's the next one? I need to have 100 of these instead of appreciating these impacts that we're having. That connection, by the way, to the people that you're serving is one of the highest ways to have purpose. So a lot of us think that purpose comes from, oh, I know my purpose. I figured it out. This is what I'm born to do. And I feel so purposeful. And the researchers actually say, one, you figure your purpose out retroactively. You look back at what you've done in the past, look at what inspired you, look at what didn't inspire you, and use that to kind of take the next step, which gets you more data on what your purpose might be. So it's an in the motion, process-oriented thing. But the connection to those that you serve, if you know who you're serving, you find more purpose in your work. So it's not, how can I find work that's more purpose aligned with me, but how can I find the purpose that I'm already showing up in the work that I'm doing? The research is crazy. If you order food from like a short order cook, in a standard diner, if you can see the person cooking your food, you rate it as tasting better, like more enjoyable. If they can see you, if you can both see each other, it's even higher. If you can't see them, the quality goes down. People who are picking tomatoes in a field, if they go meet the people in the factory where the tomatoes are going to get canned, they pick something like 33% more tomatoes or something. Just seeing that downstream effect of your work not only makes you feel better and have more purpose, but also helps you perform better. So we can make that connection to the people that we're serving through those thank you notes, through whatever it is. It's so powerful. And then final thing I'll offer, knowing that I'm just dropping a ton here. You mentioned focus. There's two things. We have a formula that we believe is basically like a distillation of enlightenment, if you will, or the essentialism. And it's, can you cultivate your energy? Or can you get that energy as dialed up as possible by taking care of yourself? Can you focus that energy on what's important now consistently, day in and day out? You have to be able to focus. If you're not training your mind, if it's monkey mind, like, oh, let me do this, let me do this. No, we've all been there. It doesn't work. It's not effective. And you know what's important now. What is the most important thing for you to do? If you don't, you're going to have to figure that out. But if you're not energized, and if you're not able to focus your attention on that thing that's most important, we're just not going to make progress. And in the social media context, one of the experts that we had in our coach program, so we had something like 65, 70 world leading experts to come in to teach our coaches, do live coaching with them. So it's really fun to see people get this like live coaching from literally the best in the world. But he was talking about branding and how do you find your niche and that space of things. And he said, The number one most important thing as it pertains to social media is focus. You pick one platform and you pick one thing that you talk about. It's like a wall, right? If you're trying to break through all the parts of the wall at once, you're not going to go through. But if you pick one thing and you focus it, the sun's rays can literally burn a piece of paper, but not until they're focused in a magnifying glass, right? Find that one thing, be consistent, add value for people searching for what, dogs and outfits. I don't know why that pops up, but like something random, ridiculous, right? It could be how to get a great night of sleep. And every single day you're posting on one platform, how to get a great night of sleep. And then with that focus, you gain the movement, you're adding value to people. Then you can start expanding. But I think so many people started like, oh, I got to talk about all the different things I'm excited about and all the different platforms that I'm excited about. And what ends up happening is little gnats, little flicks, instead of like this concentrated, focused energy that makes an impact. And then once you've cultivated that sense of trust and that sense of goodwill, then you're able to potentially expand out. But this idea of focusing applies everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I feel like, kind of going back to what you were saying about goals and how you're almost never actually reaching them. And then when you do reach them, you're already thinking about your next goal. I almost feel like the purpose of goals is more to give you what the process is for, right? Because like even that example of putting your socks on for playing basketball, that step wouldn't necessarily be helpful if your goal is to write a book, right? Like starting with putting your socks on is probably not part of the book writing. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you need socks to write a book. You probably would know better than me.
Maybe no socks and beach volleyball.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So I think it's interesting because it's like people do get so goal obsessed. And I don't think goals are bad because if you don't have a goal at all, you don't know where you're going, it's very difficult to create a process or know what kind of process to follow. Because like one of the things we do in our NBA program is we give people a process to follow, and it makes it really easy for them to take the action steps that are going to move them forward. But we also had to get really clear about, well, where is this taking you? And if you want to have a wellness and nutrition business, that's what this process is for. If you want to sell widgets on Amazon, this process is probably not going to work for you, right? So I feel like that goal is what drives the decision about what are the habits and what is the process that you're going to focus on to get there. But then the actual steps are what you need to be like celebrating and emphasizing on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, there are some universal things that apply no matter what your goals are. Are you eating in a way that fuels your body? Are you sleeping enough? Are you moving your body on a consistent basis? We would add, are you meditating? Right? Are you training your ability to focus? Are you training your attention? And then are you breathing properly? Most of us don't even think about breathing. It's one of the highest leverage displays, like in through your nose, deeply using your belly, back out through your nose longer than you breathe in. If you do that, your life can change. People's lives literally change when they start breathing properly. So there are universal things that create that energetic foundation. But even going one step further with the idea of goals, and I love the clarity of like, hey, you got to know what you're doing this for. And a process that's works for one goal is not going to work for another goal. There are elements that you want to be able to translate over, but being really clear on where do you want to go, which is why we've set that 51% 2051 flourishing target. If it doesn't help us get there, not important, right? If it focuses our attention. But I think we got to know that most people are playing the wrong game. Most people are going after fame or wealth or power or hotness or whatever it is, Instagram likes, Instagram followers. And they think, if I get that, I will be happy, right? These extrinsic motivation things. And we actually start all of our work together in coaching in the heroic training platform around make sure you're playing the right game. All the ancient wisdom traditions agree. Eudaimonia via arte. I've got arte tattoo. Literally means express the best version of yourself moment to moment. Modern science confirms this. They would say flourish by putting your virtues into action. We've all felt this moment of when we're actually showing up at our best, we feel great. It's an intrinsically motivated thing. It's a deep thing. And if we're going after those extrinsic rewards because we think they're going to get us that ultimate goal of being happy, having this sense of deep flourishing in life, no matter where we are or if we hit them, we're not going to actually get the goal that we want. And that's not to say that these extrinsic goals aren't important or that making money is not important. Whether it's in a professional coaching context or leadership context or selling widgets on Amazon. All those things are important, but just making sure that we're conscious of why are we setting those, what are you actually after? And I felt this firsthand in the context of growing up, get into a good school. I was like the only goal. You got to get into a good school. And I'm blessed to be from a family that prioritized that and supported me in doing that. And then why do you go to get a good school? Well, so you can get a good job, right? And you can build a family and have a nice. And I got to a point in my professional career, went to a great school, owned my house, had a beautiful wife and relationship, had a great career with a great title, bunch of money. And I was so mad. I was like, I am not feeling happy. I'm doing all the things that they said that they, in quotations, the collective they, said that I should do to be happy. And I've checked the box. I friggin' won this game and I'm not happy. Come on. And then I learned, okay, there's actually a deeper game here. So most people know the metaphor. If the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. If that first step is in the wrong direction, and then we don't course correct, we're going to end up 2,000 miles away from where we actually want to be. So having that clarity on that ultimate goal is important. And then even for go to my experience as a coach with the one-on-one and the groups and then leading into where I am now. But I know a lot of people who think about building a one-on-one coaching practice or building that kind of information product kind of thing. One of the things they're excited about is the lifestyle that they think comes with that. Oh, I'll only have to work so much a week, right? Or like so much a month, and I'll be able to do whatever I want and work from anywhere. And there's these things that we're excited about that are, again, not unimportant or not to say like that's trivial, but it's, if you actually want that, you're going to have to work really, 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 really hard for a long period of time. And it's not going to be 4 hours a month for the first 12 to 14 to 24 to however long, years. So if that's the thing that you're going after, that's not a good path for you, right? And just to have that clarity or, I really want to serve people. Awesome. Perfect. Hustle. Yeah. But I also want to serve people while making like 300 grand in 5 hours, like a week. It's like, cool. Like that doesn't line up. So being willing to take that step back, ask what we're actually doing something for, and then pulling that into that process. Okay, if I'm taking this next step, you've got your programs, right, to help someone build a business MBA program, making sure they have clarity on what is it that they want that for. And if that's the thing that you want, your program will help them get that, right? And if they want to be selling widgets on Amazon, your program's not for them. And if they want to make a lot of money, like awesome, perfect. Sorry to people who have done that, but also recognize that it's going to be a lot of work. And even if they win, but the reason they want to make the money is for something else, it's not going to satisfy that deeper need, that deeper craving.
Funny story. This is kind of a weird thing to admit publicly, but so we have a 30-day refund policy on our NBA program. And to date, I think we've had like 2 to 3% refund rate on the program, which I'm pretty proud of. I feel like, means it's a good program. Almost every single one of the refunds that we had, the reason was because they realized, I don't actually want to build a business like this. Like, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to be a nutritionist. I don't want to have this kind of business. And it's like, it's really funny because in my mind, that means the program's doing what it needs to do because you get to see, hey, if this is really what you want, this is the path. And if in the first 30 days, someone's like, never mind, I don't want this. Like, I'm actually really glad that they're figuring that out now and not like spending years trying to build something that they don't even want. Right. So it's just, like I said, it's not, I'm sure most people don't say, here's why people ask us for refunds, but it just made me think of that. Like, I was like, it's actually kind of cool that the vast majority of our refund requests have been around people realizing that, I don't actually want what this program is going to teach me how to do, which is kind of funny because, I'm glad, right? Yeah. I'm like, please don't do this program if you don't actually want what's coming at the end of it.
And or they don't want to do the work required. They wanted that thing because they wanted the downstream consequences of that thing. They didn't realize, oh, shoot, this is actually hard work. And I thought that I wanted this thing and I do want what I perceive that thing to be, but I don't want to actually do the hard work that it takes to get that thing. And it, it applies in your program in every, right? I want a great relationship. Guess what? That is hard work. And guess what? It will not be perfect. It shouldn't be perfect. We like to flip, again, talking about flipping that sense of I'm uncomfortable, flipping challenges, flipping failures on its head. We think when we get something wrong, that it's a sign that we're not up to par. Like something's wrong with it. If I'm arguing with my spouse, it means something's wrong with our relationship. If I didn't get an A+ on this test, it means something's wrong with me. If I didn't build this business a certain way, it means I'm not doing things properly. All it means is you get to show up and you get to turn that into a lesson, turn that into growth. That argument can be the seeds of a more deeply connected relationship. If they care about something and you care about something, awesome. Can you figure out what that is? Can you recognize that this is a chance to have a conversation about it? That person telling you no, that person giving you the refund for the course, and 2 to 3% is awesome. What if it was 50%? You could say, oh my God, this thing is failing, or oh my gosh, I bet there's such valuable wisdom from these people that I can harness. What are they saying? How can I change it? And you learn and you iterate, and every failure becomes an opportunity to grow. Ray Dalio is one of the most successful people on the planet, like 100 most influential people, founder of Bridgewater Associates, literally like a billionaire, like wrote principles. He's got this 5-step model for success. Step 1, set an audacious goal. Back to goals. Goals are important. Ray Dalio, again, one of the most successful people on the planet. Guess what step 2 is in his model for success?
I want to say something about like trashing the goal or something.
Fail. Step 2 is to fail. That's literally like most successful, fail. Step 2, fail. And then you figure out, oh, why did I fail? What was the problem? How can I learn from that? And then you get better. And we spiral up. We get better and better and better and better when we recognize that those failures are just an opportunity to learn. And most people, I shouldn't say most people, we tend to have a story that failure means we're doing something wrong, instead of failure is an opportunity for me to get a little bit better. Most people have seen that Nike commercial with Michael Jordan. He's like, I've missed 4,300 whatever shots in my career. I'm successful because I have failed. We don't aim to fail, right? Failure is not the goal. And people might say like, oh, I don't want to intentionally fail. No, but you want to intentionally get better. And if you're not going after things that are stretching you and causing failure at times, then you're setting your sights too low. So to set that bar high, to go for it, to be willing to fail and then be willing to learn from it, get that feedback and get data, right? Like perfect. The 2 to 3% of people who have gone through and decided they don't want to do the work, perfect. Literally perfect. Nothing's wrong with them. It's not like they're bad because they saw, oh, this is hard and I don't want to do this. No, that's amazing. They took a step in the direction of what they thought they wanted. They got more data and then they made a different decision. That might be the most valuable 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to however many weeks, right? Less than 30 days they've ever gone through, because they had this dream their entire life and they thought that's the thing. And then realized, wait a minute, I started down that path and I realized it's not actually for me. And that's so, so valuable. So kudos to them. Like, well done.
It's funny. I get this image of like a baby learning how to walk. And if they fall once, they're like, I guess walking's not for me. Right. It's like, I feel like we would be in a lot of trouble if that's how children did things. So unfortunately, I don't know why adults want to do it differently and skip the hard parts. But Michael, oh my gosh, there's so much. I'm sure we could probably talk for another several hours, and we'll have to have you back on the show in the future because you have so much awesome. I feel like you're giving us like small tidbits of all this like knowledge that you've picked up over the years. And I'm sure a lot of people want to learn more and go deeper. So if there are people listening that are like, I love everything that they've been talking about and I want to learn more, how can they connect with you and the work that you're doing in, what's the name of the company again? You mentioned Heroic.
Yeah. Heroic Public Benefit Corporation. So we've got a bunch of resources, and I can say, if you've been excited by all the ideas that I've been dropping, you can get more deeper information on them all for free. I mentioned when I was early on finding Brian Johnson and his work, becoming a subscriber, literally changing my life. It was $100 a year, or it was a $250 lifetime membership. Heroic bought Optimize, which was that resource, and we're now literally giving it away for free. So optimize.me is the URL. You can go to get Optimized completely for free. You get 600 plus books distilled in 6-page PDFs, 1,200 plus short form, 3 to 5 minute kind of micro lesson. We call them plus ones, 50 101 classes, productivity 101, purpose 101, leadership 101, energy 101, whatever it is, all for free at optimize.me. You also got an app, Optimized by Heroic. You can download that on iOS and Android. Get that for free as well. You'll find information about the coach program there. And then heroic.us. So optimize.me, right? Let me optimize myself. Heroic.us. It's not heroic.Brian Johnson or Brian Johnson International or heroic.Michael. It's us. Let us be heroic together. Heroic.us. You can also get that on iOS. Android, I think, will be either out or coming very, very soon when this airs. That's a social training platform built to change the world by helping you be the best, most heroic version of yourself. I'm fortunate to be at the organization. And so there's a level of potential bias when people hear this when I say this, but I literally have been in this space for a long, long time. This thing is helping me go next level. I know people are like, I've got a lot of apps on my phones. Like I'm already addicted to my phone. Being addicted to your phone is not bad if the thing you're addicted to is helping you flourish. So there's 2 things the app will do. 1, help you flourish as an individual. 2, if enough of us do that together, we can change the world one person at a time, starting with you, me, and us today. So heroic.us to learn more about the social training platform. Have this tool for committing to yourself at your best every single morning, hitting those targets, following that process, along with all the other wisdom bombs that I dropped. But that's how we want to support individuals. We're excited to give such a powerful resource away for free, very, very accessible price on the other side of things. Even the coach program used to be $1,000. We had like 3,500 people pay $1,000. And then after Heroic acquired it, we're like, well, let's do something heroic with that. So it's like $300 now. I don't know how long we'll keep that. But we try and give the best to the most for the least. We're truly, truly committed to creating this world in which we're all flourishing, and don't want cash to get in the way of anybody who wants to do that, who wants to make a change, who wants to be a hero for themselves, for their families, for their communities, for their clients, right? Out of service, out of love. And that's the quick version.
I love it. Well, we're definitely going to have links to all of that in the show notes. So you guys can head over to lauraschoenfeldrd.com if you want to click on those, or, Michael did a great job of reading those. So hopefully it'll be easy to pop into your phone if you want to check it out more directly. But Michael, it's been so fun to reconnect, and just all the stuff you're talking about, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this stuff. I love the personal development. And it's funny, just that idea of like wanting to serve people. It's something I've really realized is like pretty much no matter what angle my business has taken, whether it was health, business, whatever the next iteration might be in the future, it's like always all the same stuff, right? Like always that personal development, self-work, like learning how to be the best version of yourself so you can impact others. And so I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your passion and expertise with our audience.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thanks to those of you for hanging out with us. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and we'll see you here next week on the Fed and Fearless podcast. Take care, everybody. Are you a health and wellness entrepreneur looking to grow an audience of people who will actually buy your programs and services? Then keep listening, because I have a special limited time opportunity for you to get coaching from both me and my top level business coach on how to attract 100 of the right prospects for your health coaching and consulting business. If you're looking to build a profitable and sustainable health business, it doesn't matter if you have a brick and mortar practice or an online business or even a combination of both. The fact of the matter is, all successful health and nutrition entrepreneurs know that in order to have demand and desire for their paid offers, their free content has to create that demand and desire. But unfortunately for most, they go about this process backwards. And no matter how big or small their list size, they hear crickets every time they try to sell something to anyone. I've been there myself, and I get it. It's beyond frustrating. But what if I told you that there was a surefire way of building an audience who not only craves your content, but literally begs you for it? And that all the hard work that you put in can actually start paying off with sales and new clients? And what if I also told you that you only need 100 subscribers on your email list to make it happen? Inside this free training from my expert coach, James Wedmore, you'll discover why traditional list building strategies don't work, and they just leave you spending months creating a bunch of free content that no one ever sees, or worse, attracts leads that never want to invest with you as their coach or consultant. When you complete this free training, you'll start building a list that's literally going to be banging down your door to buy health coaching and consulting services from you. Now, I've been working with James since 2018, starting with his incredible online program, Business by Design, and now as a part of his Performance Mastermind. And there's no one in the world of online business who I trust more to provide simple and effective, action-oriented content to learn how to become a digital CEO and grow a successful online business. I absolutely love every piece of training that he puts out, and his free course on getting your first 100 leads is one of the best ones he's ever done. And he's giving it away for free. Not only that, but as an extra special bonus, I'm running a live coaching and support call on Tuesday, May 17th, where we'll go over the content from his training together, and I'll help you apply it to your health and nutrition business specifically, because that's my area of expertise. Between James's incredible teaching and my 9+ years of experience running and growing online health businesses, we'll help you get those 100 high-quality leads faster and easier than ever before. To join us for this limited time free training and coaching experience, go to lauraschoenfeld.com/100 leads. That's 100 LEADS, and register now to grab your spot. And you don't have to just take my word for it. Listen to what James himself has to say about this one-of-a-kind free training for online entrepreneurs and digital CEOs.
Hi, I'm James Wedmore, host of the Mind Your Business podcast, and I've built an 8-figure a year company selling digital products around my knowledge and expertise. In fact, this is what I've been doing in multiple niches for the past 15 years. And if you've ever wanted to do the same, or maybe you're trying, but you can't seem to get any traction, here's how I can help. As you can guess, you need an audience if you want to sell your stuff, right? But what if I told you that you don't need a big audience? You don't need millions of followers to get started. In fact, we see that it's with just your first 100 leads where you really start getting some momentum. I mean, think about it. Imagine that you're on the stage of a room filled with just 100 people in that audience right now. That's a lot of people. You don't think that a few of them would walk up to you after your talk and ask, "Hey, how can I keep working with you?" Of course they would. And that's why I created your first 100 leads. It's a 14-video step-by-step training mini course that walks you through exactly how to get your first 100 leads fast. And the feedback and results from this free program have been amazing. Diane Shepard said, "This is one of the best trainings I've ever taken." Jake Curry said, "We have had 753 people sign up for this free training. Are you kidding me?" Dan Netting said, "I'm currently going through the first 100 leads training, and James, I gotta say, it's brilliant. This training is A to Z complete, and the best part is it's absolutely free." To get instant access, simply click the link in the show notes of this episode. Thanks so much, and I'll see you there.
So now you know everything you need to get started with this free training on how to get your first 100 leads for your business. We only run this joint free training once a year, so now is the time to join and learn everything you need to know about building a list of qualified health and wellness clients quickly so you can have the profitable and successful online health business of your dreams. Go to lauraschoenfeld.com/100 LEADS and register now, and I'll see you on our bonus coaching call.